in there for him.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to the beginning now, all right? And we'll read the book.
Oh, let's start from the back.
You want to start from... Okay. Because you like... What do you like looking at over here?
Let's look at the little pipsqueak. A little pipsqueak like you.
What kind of animal does he look like?
He looks like Patty.
What color is he?
He's purple because he's you.
All right. And on the back, what do we have on the back?
There's one.
Mm-hmm. What does he have?
No, there's this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one.
Okay. All right. Okay. What's the name of this book?
In the Hanukkah Goblins.
That's right. All right. Let's read Hershel and the Hanukkah Goblins.
Let's start the little goblin.
Yes, but first we have to read a few pages. It was the first night of Hanukkah. Hershel of Ostropol was walking down the road in the big snowstorm. He was tired and hungry. Soon he would get to the next village. He was looking forward to sitting down and having big platters of potato latkes and playing dreidel and looking at the menorah, because tonight was going to be the first night of Hanukkah. But as Hershel got to the village, he saw there were no candles in all the windows. When Hershel got to the town, he asked the villagers, "Isn't tonight the first night of Hanukkah?" The villagers said, "We don't have Hanukkah here, Hershel." Hershel said, "No Hanukkah? How could that be?" The rabbi said, "We don't have Hanukkah because of the goblins. They haunt the shul at the top of the hill, and they hate Hanukkah. Whenever we try to light the menorah, the goblins come and blow out the candles. They break our dreidels and throw our latkes on the floor. Those wicked goblins make our lives miserable." Hershel knew he had to help the villagers. He said, "I'm not afraid of goblins. Tell me how to get rid of them." The rabbi said, "It's not as easy as you think. You have to spend 8 nights in the old shul on top of the hill, and you have to light the Hanukkah candles every night. And on the 8th night, the king of the goblins has to light them himself. That's the only way to break their power." Hershel said, "I'm not afraid, Rabbi. If I can't outsmart a few goblins, then my name isn't..." What's his name?
Hershel of Ostropol.
Hershel of Ostropol! That's right. Almost there. So the villagers wished Hershel good luck, and they gave him potato latkes, eggs, and a jar of pickles. The rabbi gave Hershel a menorah, candles, and matches. Then they all said goodbye and good luck. Nobody expected to see Hershel again. Hershel went up to the shul on the top of the hill. When he got there, he could tell that this was a scary place, and he believed the goblins lived there. He put 2 candles in the menorah and set it by the window. He lit them, and then he heard a voice behind him. "Hey, what are you doing?" Hershel turned around. Here was a goblin no bigger than a horsefly with 2 little wings. There's his picture. All right. Hershel said, "I'm lighting the Hanukkah candles because tonight's the first night of Hanukkah." The goblin said, "Oh, no, it's not. We don't allow Hanukkah, not around here."
We don't allow around here.
"Oh, is that so?" said Hershel. "Who's going to stop me? A little pipsqueak like you?"
That's my favorite thing.
That's
my favorite one.
Yeah, you love that line. Today you discovered that line. "Who's going to stop me? A little pipsqueak like you?" "I may be little, but I'm strong," said the goblin. "Really?" said Hershel. "Can you crush rocks in your hand?" The goblin laughed. "Crush rocks? You're joking. Nobody's that strong." "I am. Watch." And Hershel took an egg out of his pocket and crushed it in his hand. And the goblin got scared because he didn't know it was an egg. He thought it was a rock and that Hershel was really strong. The little goblin's eyes opened wide, and he said, "You leave me alone." Gladly, said Hershel, if you let me light my candles in peace. All right, said the goblin. One night won't make a difference, but you better not be here tomorrow. Big, scary goblins are coming, much bigger than I. If they catch you lighting Hanukkah candles, you'll be sorry.
You'll be sorry.
We'll see about that,
We'll see about that.
Hershel said to himself. Get this picture? On the second night, another goblin appeared. This one was big and fat and green and looked like a frog. Hershel was finishing a dinner of pickles and eggs, and he offered a pickle to this new goblin. Pickles? Here, catch. And Hershel tossed him a pickle. The goblin caught it in his mouth and swallowed it. The pickles are good. Do you like them? Hershel asked. I have plenty in this jar. Take all you want. So the greedy goblin took his hand and put it in the jar and grabbed as many as he could. But when he tried to take his hand out, he was trapped. I'm stuck, the goblin shouted. You put a spell on this jar to trap me. That's right, Hershel said, laughing, and it's a very powerful spell. You came here tonight to stop me from lighting Hanukkah candles, so now I'm going to light them while you stand there trapped. How do you like that?
How do you like that?
No, no, the goblin screamed. I hate Hanukkah. Too bad, said Hershel. You'll have to get used to it.
You do have to get used to it.
Hershel said the brachas and lit the candles slowly, and then he sang all of his favorite Hanukkah songs. The goblin cried and screamed so much that Hershel finally decided to let him go. Should I tell you how to get your hand out of the jar? Yes, I can't stand it anymore.
I can't stand it anymore.
You had to stand up. Let go of the pickles. Your greed is the only spell holding you prisoner. So the goblin let go of the pickles, and his hand came right out of the jar. That goblin was so mad. Hershel had lit the Hanukkah candles right under his nose. The goblin stamped his feet so hard that he shattered into a million pieces and blew away with the wind. The third night of Hanukkah came. Hershel felt something watching him as he set the candles in the menorah, but instead of lighting them, he started playing dreidel. He played for an hour. Hershel looked up, and a big red goblin with two enormous horns was sitting at the table. It's getting late, the goblin said. When are you gonna light the candles? Later, Hershel said. There's plenty of time. This is more fun, and he spun the dreidel. What's that? The goblin asked. It looks like a top. Hershel said, it's a dreidel. Don't you know about dreidels? No. Too bad. Dreidels are lots of fun. You can also make lots of money and win gelt if you know how to play. Really? The goblin was interested now. He loved gelt. How do you play? He asked. It's very easy, Hershel said, but first you have to have gelt. That's the first rule. I have plenty. Is this enough? And the goblin put a huge pile of gelt on the table.
What's that?
What is that?
A snake!
A snake? What's it doing?
It's looking.
Looking at what?
At the kill.
He's looking at the gelt? Yeah. So Hershel and the goblin played dreidel all night long, and Hershel kept winning and winning and winning until he had all of the goblin's gelt. Hershel shrugged and said, too bad. Do you want to keep playing?
What's that?
What is that?
A snake!
A snake? What's it doing?
It's peeking.
Peeking at what?
And peeking at the dreidel.
At the dreidel. That's right. No, the goblin said, I don't want to play anymore. So Hershel asked if the goblin was going to stop him from lighting the candles. The goblin was so sad that he had lost all of his gelt. He said, no, I'm leaving now. I don't like this game. I don't like Hanukkah, and I don't like you. So go, Hershel said. I don't care. I'm going to stay and have fun. So the goblin said goodbye, spread his wings, and flew out the door, while Hershel lit the candles and sang his favorite Hanukkah songs. What is that?
I think, and he's looking back at Hershel.
He's looking back at Hershel? Hershel of?
Hershel of
Ostropol! Alright, on each of the following nights, a new goblin came. One had 3 eyes, one had 6 heads, one looked like a dog, and one looked like a cat. And every night they tried to blow out the Hanukkah candles, but Hershel fooled them all. And every night he lit the menorah and sang his favorite Hanukkah songs. On the 7th night, Hershel was getting very sleepy and he closed his eyes. Then he heard a horrible sound, a voice that sounded like the cracking of bones.
No, can you?
You want to hear what cracking bones sounds like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you put on some music?
Here's what cracking bones sounds like. Hello, Hershel of Ostropol. Oh no, sorry, he says, Happy Hanukkah, Hershel of Ostropol. Who is it? Who's there? Don't you know who I am, Hershel? Weren't you expecting the king of the goblins? The voice was so loud it ripped shingles from the roof and shattered the windows. The Hanukkah candles blew in the wind, but they did not go out. You're too early, Hershel shouted. You're not supposed to come until tomorrow. The wind died down. Don't worry, Hershel. I'm far away, but I have the power to see you and speak to you. Enjoy this Hanukkah evening, my friend. It will be your last. Tomorrow night I will come for you. You fooled the other goblins. Let's see if you could fool me.
You fooled the goblins. Let's see if you can fool me.
Yeah, and what does he say? He says, enjoy tonight, my friend. It will.
Enjoy. It'll be your last. Enjoy this Hanukkah.
Poor Hershel. What was he going to do?
It's gonna be your last.
Your last. The king of the goblins was on his way, and no power on earth could stop him. Unless Hershel had an idea. It was a big risk, but he had to take it. It was the only way to save himself and Hanukkah. Oh, there's our last picture. It was the last night of Hanukkah. Hershel set up the candles in the menorah, but instead of putting it by the window, he put the menorah and the matches on a small table near the door. Then he sat down to wait. Night came and it grew dark outside. The whole world was cold and silent. Suddenly, a great wind ripped the door open and the building shook. A fearsome voice spoke, Hershel of Ostropol. Did I hear something? It is I, the king of the goblins. Hershel laughed. Don't be silly. You're one of the boys from the village. You're trying to scare me. I am not a boy. I am the king of the goblins. I'll believe it when I see it.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Show yourself to me.
Show me.
Behold,
No.
I stand before you.
I see it.
Do you believe me now?
Do you believe me now?
Hershel tried not to look. Even in the darkness, he could see the outline of a monstrous shape filling the doorway. A figure too horrible to describe, but he pretended not to care. It's too dark. I can't see anything. I have some candles and matches by the doorway. Why don't you light a few? Then I'll see what you really are. Indeed you shall. A match lit. A match lit, and the shamus candle caught flame. Hershel's blood turned cold at the awful sight before him, but he did not lose courage. Master of the world, he prayed, those who created the heavens and the earth and the spirits of the air, stand by me now. Then he said to the goblin, It's still too dark. What are you afraid of? There are plenty of candles. Why not light them all? So a hideous hand took the shamus candle and lit all the other ones one by one. Hershel was scared, but he forced himself to look. He watched as the Goblin King lit all the candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The King of Goblins stood before him. Now, Hershel, do you know who I am?
I know you're not Queen Esther.
That's right, I know you're not Queen Esther. Very funny.
Very funny.
Enjoy the joke.
Enjoy the joke.
It will be your last.
It'll be your last.
No, you like that page?
He sings, he laughs, and then he sings song, and then he gets in.
That's right. And then he says, "That's what you think. Be gone, or I'll take a stick to you."
I'll take a stick to you.
Yeah, you like that part too. How dare you speak to the king?
How you say this to the king of the
How dare you speak to the king of the goblins that way? I'll speak to you any way I
I'll
please.
speak you any way you please.
You have no power.
You have no power.
Your spell is broken.
Your spell is broken.
The menorah is lit.
The menorah is lit.
And you lit them yourself.
And you lit them in yourself.
The king of the goblins roared with fury. The earth trembled and a mighty wind blew. It ripped off the roof and blew down the walls. All around the menorah the wind howled, but the candles never flickered. They burned with clear, steady flames. The king of the goblins had no power over them. The spirit of Hanukkah had triumphed. And what happened to the goblin king?
He has his eye down because he's disappearing.
That's right. The goblin king disappeared and the wind died down, and the only thing that was left was Hershel and the menorah. So he sang his favorite Hanukkah songs, played with his dreidel, and ate lots of latkes. And all the villagers came out to celebrate and to thank Hershel because he had saved Hanukkah. And now all their houses were filled with Hanukkah light. The end.
And for these guys.
These are the people who wrote the book. They're the authors and the illustrators.
These are goblins.
You want to look at the goblins again?
Yeah.
Do you want to look at them on the cover or on the inside?
In the inside.
On the inside, okay. Here, we're going to look at all of them once, and then we're going to go to bed, okay?
First, the teeny one.
First, the teeny one.
And what does he look like?
What does he look like?
He looks like Patty.
That's right. He looks like a little bat.
And what does he look like?
Well, what color is he?
He's green.
And what is this thing here?
His white belly.
Mm-hmm.
And his dark back.
That's right. So what kind of animal does he look like?
He looks like a frog.
A frog. That's right.
And he looks like a snake.
A snake. That's right. This is my favorite question. What is the snake doing?
He's looking back at Hershel.
He's looking back at Hershel.
And what does this guy look like?
Well, how many eyes does he have?
1, 2, 3.
That's right, 3 eyes. Very good.
And I said, what does he look like?
He looks like a goblin with 3 eyes.
And these 2 goblins like?
Well, this one has lots of heads. Do you remember how many heads he has?
Has 1, 2, 3, 4.
5, 6. He has 6 heads.
6.
Yeah.
And
And this one?
these look like 2 goblins and with 2 heads.
Okay. And this one looks like a dog.
And
This one looks like a
cat.
That's right.
And what does Hershel look?
Hershel looks like a person.
And he looks scary.
He does look scared. That's right, because the window's breaking.
And what is this guy like?
The king of the goblins. He's very tall and skinny. And what does he have?
He has a head with hairs and eyes and a belly and a kind of feet.
He does have some kind of feet. That's right. Yeah, what do I say he looks like?
He looks like a statue and he has a few of legs.
That's right. He looks like a statue.
It was too dark and Hershel couldn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then on this page he said, did I see something?
It is I, the king of the goblins.
And this dude's dark. I can't understand what he's saying. I can see. And then he's disappearing with his blue eye.
Mm-hmm. And when he's gone, what does Hershel do?
He writes what was left was Hershel and his menorah.
Mm-hmm. And so he...
And then he writes his menorah.
And does he sing something?
Yeah.
What does he sing?
He sings the brachas.
He sings the brachas, and his favorite...
And so.
That's right. And he eats...
Latkes and praise Drake.
That's right. Happy Hanukkah, Hershel.
And I'll put all the drawings in the book because the goblins like their pictures.
Okay.
First, let me put in
Which one's that?
that one belongs to
The little pipsqueak. Okay.
And what this guy was.
What's that? Oh, perfect.
He was this picture.
Mm-hmm. He does the picture of himself as a frog. Okay. And what's next?
And this guy, he likes his picture.
Okay, very good. And last?
And last, the king of the goblins, he likes his picture.
Yeah. All right, very good.
And tomorrow, I'm going to go get some more paper for the different goblins.
Okay. Yeah, we can draw more pictures of goblins tomorrow.
Let's